Jean Stapleton was born Jean Murray on January 19, 1923 in Manhattan, New York City. She grew up in a family that loved the arts and telling stories. Her mother, Marie Stapleton Murray, was a professional opera singer, and her father, Joseph Murray, worked selling advertisements. Jean watched her mother perform music from a young age, and her family always encouraged her to be creative. This helped shape her love for performing. That lasted her whole life. Even though she didn't become famous right away, her hard work, quiet strength, and natural talent for playing regular everyday people made her one of the most respected and loved people on television. Stapleton's acting career started small in New York's busy theater world. After going to Hunter College and then performing in summer theater shows, she started getting better at her craft on stage. She appeared in local plays that let her try both funny and serious roles. The 1940s and 1950s were really important years for Jean as she got experience in off-Broadway and Broadway shows, working really hard to get better at her timing and showing emotions. Some of her early stage roles were in famous shows like Damn Yankees, Bells Are Ringing, and Funny Girl. Her ability to mix humor with heart quickly made people see her as a reliable and really talented actress. Her stage work showed not just her technical skills, but also how much she cared about others. She had an amazing ability to make audiences laugh one moment and cry the next. This was a rare gift that would later make her television career so special. Jean Stapleton became most famous in the 1970s when she was chosen to play Edith Bunker on the groundbreaking CBS sitcom All in the Family. The show was created by Norman Lear and talked about social and political topics that were often considered too touchy for television back then. As Edith, the sweet, kind-hearted, and sometimes innocent wife of the loud Archie Bunker, played by Carroll O'Connor, Stapleton became a cultural icon. Her way of playing Edith was gentle and detailed, a mix of innocence, caring, and moral strength. She turned what could have been just a simple, funny sidekick into a deeply complex character who stood for decency and understanding in a world full of prejudice and anger. Stapleton's acting on All in the Family won her 3 Emmy Awards and 2 Golden Globes. But more importantly, it made millions of viewers love her. Audiences found comfort in Edith's warmth and wisdom. They often saw in her the spirit of their own mothers, grandmothers, or neighbors. Through her gentle ways, musical laugh, and strong belief in kindness, Jean created a character that went beyond just television. Many fans have said that Edith Bunker was not just a role, she was a reminder of the goodness that exists in people, even during hard times. When Edith was written out of the spin-off series Archie Bunker's Place after Stapleton decided to leave the role, it was one of the most emotional moments in TV history. Her absence was deeply felt both on screen and in the hearts of her audience. After All in the Family, Stapleton kept acting in movies, television, and theater. She always looked for roles that challenged her and showed human truth. She appeared in movies like Clute from 1971, Something Wild from 1986, and You've Got Mail from 1998. These showed how versatile and charming she was. On stage, she played Eleanor Roosevelt in the one-woman show Eleanor, Her Secret Journey. This performance showed her dramatic range and deep respect for powerful female figures. Even in her later years, Jean never lost her curiosity or her dedication to storytelling. She believed acting was not about being famous, but about connecting hearts and minds through honesty and caring for others. Jean Stapleton's marriage to William H. Putch was one of the most important and steady relationships in her life, both personally and professionally. The couple got married in 1957 during a time when Jean was still building her career as a stage and television actress. Back then, she was working in New York theater, appearing in Broadway and off-Broadway shows. Meanwhile, William Putch was already making a name for himself as a respected director and producer. Their marriage was not only a union of love, but also a creative partnership between two people who really understood the demands and sacrifices of a life in the arts. William H. Putch was the founder and director of the Totem Pole Playhouse, a summer theater located in Fayetteville, Pennsylvania. This local theater became a really important part of their lives. It served as both a place to work and a family home during the summer months. Jean Stapleton often performed there during her breaks from television and film work. Together, they helped the Playhouse become one of the most respected local theaters in the United States. Their working together was characterized by a mutual respect for each other's talents. William guided productions behind the scenes with a steady and forward-thinking hand, while Jean brought characters to life with her warm, intelligent, and deeply human performances. Throughout their marriage, the couple balanced the challenges of a demanding industry with a strong sense of family and shared purpose. They raised 2 children together, John Putch and Pamela Putch. Both of them would eventually pursue careers in the entertainment industry, inspired by their parents' dedication and creativity. The family was known for being close, often spending summers together at Totem Pole Playhouse, where the theater community became like an extended family. People who worked with the couple often talked about the joyful, teamwork-filled environment they created. It was one that mixed hard work, laughter, and deep artistic respect. Jean and William's marriage was marked by lasting love and mutual admiration that continued until his untimely death in 1983. His passing was a devastating loss for Jean, as they had shared more than 25 years of life and art together. In interviews, Stapleton often thought back on how much she valued their time together and the creative partnership they enjoyed. She continued to support the Totem Pole Playhouse after his death, helping to preserve her husband's legacy and the theater they had built together. Her involvement kept his spirit alive and showed her deep loyalty and affection for the man who had been her husband, collaborator, and closest friend. Even as Jean Stapleton's fame grew with her role as Edith Bunker on All in the Family, she remained grounded by her relationship with William. He was not only her husband, but also a guiding force who encouraged her to take risks and stay true to her artistic integrity. Their marriage was a lasting example of how 2 creative people could succeed together, balancing personal devotion with artistic collaboration. In many ways, the stability and love she found with William H. Putch gave her the emotional foundation that allowed Jean to bring such warmth, compassion, and authenticity to her performances. When William passed away in 1983, John mourned deeply, but also carried his memory forward in everything she did. She continued acting for many years, often choosing roles that showed her own depth and sensitivity. These were qualities that had been strengthened through their shared journey. Friends of the couple often said that Jean never stopped speaking of William with love and admiration. She remembered him not only as a brilliant director, but as the great love of her life. Their union remains one of Hollywood's quieter but most lasting love stories. It was rooted not in glamour or fame, but in shared passion, creativity, and the deep connection of 2 souls devoted to both each other and the art they loved. When beloved actor Carroll O'Connor, best known for his iconic role as Archie Bunker on All in the Family, passed away in June 2001, fans around the world mourned deeply. His co-star, Jean Stapleton, who played his patient and loving wife, Edith Bunker, was noticeably absent from his funeral. This decision stirred public curiosity and even some criticism at the time. Yet, as Stapleton would later explain, her absence came from a place of deep respect and personal conviction, not from not caring or emotional distance. For nearly a decade, from 1971 to 1979, Jean Stapleton and Carroll O'Connor had shared one of the most lasting partnerships in television history. Their on-screen chemistry as Archie and Edith Bunker turned All in the Family into a cultural phenomenon. It redefined what television comedy could be. They explored issues of race, gender, class, and family with humor and heart. Together, they brought authenticity to roles that could easily have turned into exaggerated characters off-screen. The 2 shared a deep mutual admiration and professional respect. Stapleton often called O'Connor a brilliant actor and a complex, deeply thinking man. O'Connor once praised her as the heart and soul of their groundbreaking show. When O'Connor died, many expected Stapleton to be front and center at his funeral, standing alongside his family and longtime colleagues to pay tribute. But when she chose not to attend, questions began to swirl. Was there a fight between the two? Had their friendship become distant over the years since the show ended? Stapleton, always gracious and thoughtful, addressed the questions gently and with clarity. "I loved Carroll dearly," she said in a later interview, "but my connection to him was through Archie and Edith. Those two characters had a life of their own, a shared life that was unique to them. For me, that was where our journey together began and ended. I didn't want to confuse that with the reality of his passing." To Stapleton, the bond she shared with O'Connor was deeply artistic. It was rooted in the work, the craft, and the fictional marriage that had captivated millions. Attending his funeral, in her mind, would have felt like blurring the line between art and life, something she was always careful to avoid. "When we finished All in the Family, I said goodbye to Edith Bunker and to Archie too," she explained. "It was a chapter closed. I wanted to honor that boundary." Her comments show a woman of deep thinking and strong principles. Jean Stapleton was not cold or detached. She was simply a deeply private person who viewed her professional life through a spiritual and artistic lens. To her, mourning O'Connor was not something that needed to happen in public. "I paid my respects in my own way," she said quietly. "In my heart, I said goodbye." Friends of Stapleton later said that she had lit candles for O'Connor and spent time in prayer the day of the funeral. Those who knew her well understood that she had always been deeply spiritual, though not in a traditional way. Her sense of life, death, and legacy was tied to something larger than the moment. She understood that art itself could serve as a memorial. In a sense, the laughter and tears that Archie and Edith brought to living rooms across America were already her ongoing tribute to O'Connor's memory. Many of O'Connor's admirers came to respect her reasoning once they heard her explanation. After all, their partnership on screen was preserved forever. Every rerun of All in the Family is a reminder of their shared brilliance. The tenderness, frustration, and humor they portrayed were timeless. "Carroll's work speaks for itself," Stapleton once said. "We gave something to people that still makes them laugh and think. That's the greatest tribute either of us could ask for." In later years, as she looked back on her long career, Stapleton often mentioned O'Connor with warmth and gratitude. She credited him with helping to raise television comedy to new heights. She often expressed how proud she was to have been part of something that changed American television forever. Even though she didn't attend his funeral, her affection for him remained strong. "He was my partner in the truest sense," she said. "He made me a better actress, and together we created something neither of us could have done alone." Jean Stapleton's decision not to attend Carroll O'Connor's funeral may have confused some at first. But in truth, it was the decision of a thoughtful artist who understood the importance of boundaries, both personal and creative. Her choice showed a deep respect for the private nature of grief and an understanding that love and remembrance don't always require a public gesture. In her own quiet, dignified way, Jean Stapleton mourned not just the man who played Archie Bunker, but the creative force who helped her bring Edith Bunker to life. On May 31st, 2013, the world said goodbye to one of television's most beloved figures when Jean Stapleton passed away peacefully at her apartment in Manhattan at the age of 90. Her death marked the end of an era for fans who had loved her for decades as the sweet, kind-hearted, and unforgettable Edith Bunker on All in the Family. Stapleton's passing was not just the loss of a gifted actress, but of a woman whose warmth, grace, and quiet dignity touched millions. Even in her final years, she remained deeply admired for her humility and her firm refusal to let fame change her.